I wonder if Terry Fontenot thought that free agency started today because the Falcons have made their very first signing. It is linebacker Divine Deablo from the Las Vegas Raiders, a 2-year, $14 million contract. So we're going to break down the signing, get you familiar with the newest member of the Falcons. I'll give you my thoughts and analysis on it, and then we'll just talk free agency in general. But Deablo signing a 2-year, $14 million contract is a sizable investment that I don't think you're making for depth. No, I think Deablo is coming to Atlanta to push Troy Anderson for that starting linebacker gig, and they might already think he is a starting linebacker alongside Caden Ellis at the inside linebacker position. So, that's my thoughts when I see $14 million over 2 years, including $8 million guaranteed. So watch for Deablo to really be going with the first-team defense when minicamp and training camp gets underway. Now, as for Deablo as a player, here's what I can tell you. And what I have is bullet points from our Raiders report host, Mitchell Renz here at Chat Sports, because one of the best signs of free agency when it comes to making a good signing is when you see fans from his old team devastated online that they lost him. That is the ultimate satisfaction of, okay, we got a good player. Had never heard this guy before, but Raiders fans seem to be upset, so that's got to be good news for us. Here's what I can tell you about Deablo because I did not know a ton about him other than he was a linebacker for the Raiders. Very good athlete. He played safety in college and then converted to linebacker in the NFL. So there's still some development going on in that regard, and I think that's why he might not have been a big target for the Raiders to bring back because it just wasn't quite where they were expecting him to be after 4 seasons, and maybe a little bit more patience was required, and another team has that patience. So that's the first thing I want to relay. As for the knock, I actually go pro, con, pro. Pro, great athlete. Like I said, he can fly sideline to sideline. He's got the physicality to really stuff the run and get in the box, of course, as a linebacker. But as a former safety, he can definitely showcase his speed and athleticism. Con, I don't really understand this one, but I didn't watch every single Raiders game, so I'll take our Raiders guy word for it. Not great in coverage, which is strange for someone who played safety in college. You think like the opposite. Oh, very good in coverage, but maybe not so good at stopping the run. No, it kind of seems to be the opposite of this. PFF hated his coverage grade from last year. So do with that what you will, but coverage is a knock against Deablo. High upside is what I have written down from Mitch. If you can develop him, I could see how you're taking a great athlete. I mean, just guy looks ripped right there. So taking a great athlete and someone who can play across the defense. And I think Atlanta does value a lot of versatility from their linebackers. You see Caden Ellis go in as a pass rusher often, but also play a more traditional inside linebacker role. So Deablo might be more of a hybrid safety linebacker on this defense, whereas Ellis is a hybrid edge rusher and inside linebacker. And then the last thing I'll note here is some concerns with availability. He's had injuries just pop up throughout his career. He missed sizable time in his second year in the NFL, but every other season he's played a lot of football, but just not quite a full season. So there always seems to be a couple of games he misses for injuries for whatever reason. But grade the signing for me. It's the very first signing. I think you and I both expected it to be an edge rusher first, but the Falcons sat on their hands yesterday, watched a lot of good edge rushers get signed. I'm crossing my fingers that they did that because they are in the midst of working out a trade, maybe for Trey Hendrickson for the Bengals. But if they just plan to roll it back with Ebiketie and Braylon Trice and a rookie, I don't see any reason to believe they're going to be better than 31st in sacks in 2025. So grade the signing for me. I'll give it a C. I mean, I don't think it's like a big A-plus home run signing. I think an F would be a bit dramatic. So I'll go right down the middle of it's a C signing because last year for the Raiders, 14 games. Like I mentioned, he played full season in 2021, his rookie year. My mistake. But after that, missed half of 2022 and then played a good, most of 2023, 2024. So, after saying injury concerns, I'm not quite sure if that's really accurate just based on the last couple of years. But sure, in 2022, he missed a lot of time. You can look at the numbers, though, when it comes to his pass rush. 1 sack, 4 QB hits. So I don't think this is someone who you are signing to get after the quarterback. I think that'd be misleading. I think you're signing this player because of the versatility he offers as a hybrid safety linebacker between college and the pros after playing at Virginia Tech. And the upside of here's a tremendous athlete that just needs a little bit more development. And what a surprise, Raheem Morris, a defensive coach, is gambling on himself to develop Deablo as a linebacker in the NFL. So that's the latest on the Falcons. That's the latest on the Falcons' first signing in free agency. Make sure to subscribe, by the way, to the channel if you have not already. We've got more to cover, but I do want to remind you all that we are going live every day this week, or at least plan to go live every day this week. We will be live today at 1 p.m. Eastern. So if you are looking for a Falcons YouTube channel to keep you up to speed on all things Dirty Birds during free agency, scroll on down and click that sub button. Today's show is made possible thanks to our friends over at Factor. Ready to optimize your nutrition this year? Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well easy. They are dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes so you can fuel up right and feel great no matter what life throws at you. Factor arrives fresh and fully prepared, perfect for any active, busy lifestyle. Factor can help you feel your best all day long with wholesome smoothies, breakfast, grab-and-go snacks, and more add-ons. So if you've got a busy life going on right now, which I think we all do, Factor's a great way to save some time while not making a big sacrifice in what you eat. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/FalconsChat50off and use code FalconsChat50off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. I put all that information in the comments and description of today's video. That's code FalconsChat50off at factormeals.com/FalconsChat50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Shout out to Factor for supporting us here at Chat Sports. Go support them as well. Now let's talk more about free agency. Now, I want to talk just free agency in general for a moment because Atlanta made a couple of non-acquisition. I want to say that optimistically, but they haven't. So the Falcons have made one acquisition right now, but they did lose a player this morning in free agency as well. It's someone that I predicted that would not come back to the Dirty Birds. So we're going to look at that and some other signings as well. But Richie Grant, former second-round pick out of UCF, signed with the 49ers, a one-year contract. I expect to be a very cheap one-year deal. Did not anticipate Grant coming back to Atlanta. He was a backup the last last year for Justin Simmons. Had an opportunity to start a few years ago and just did not really make the most of it and run with it. So Grant onto the 49ers, likely to replace Talanoa Hufanga, who left the 49ers for the Broncos. Some other signings that just happened this morning as I'm filming right now at 10:15 Eastern Time. Marco Wilson, had never heard of this guy. 1 year, $1.5 million contract. Javon Hargrave. How about the Vikings this morning, making a couple of big splashes? They go after the former Niner defensive tackle, who was a big part of that Eagles defense that went to the Super Bowl back in 2022. And they inked Will Fry's 5-year, $88 million contract to really beef up that interior offensive line. So they get work done on both sides of the trenches. But that was not the only signing made by the Vikings. They also went after another defensive tackle, and that was former Washington Commander Jonathan Allen, someone that we touched on in the videos over the last week or so as a potential free agent target. But I always had him last in my rankings because I didn't feel like another veteran interior defensive lineman was what this team was missing. But after letting Grady Jarrett go to the Chicago Bears, maybe they could have used a little bit of Jonathan Allen after all. However, at 3 years, $60 million, that's $20 million a season. Yeah, they weren't going to pay Grady about $14 to $15 million. They weren't going to pay Jonathan Allen $20 million. Now, I set an alarm this morning for 7 a.m. Central and wanted to see if anyone got signed. No one got signed by the Falcons. So I was like, all right, I'll go back to sleep. And I woke up at 7:45, and of course, Deablo got signed right in the middle of those two alarms. But Javon Holland, probably one of the other big names from day 2 of free agency signing, going to the New York Giants on a 3-year, $45 million contract. Yeah, when you let Xavier McKinney walk last year in free agency, you have to go out and sign Javon Holland, a worse safety the next year. I think Joe Schoen is one of the worst GMs in football. And I don't know how I wouldn't even say getting away with it, but had a job this long. Why sign Holland when you can let McKinney? Like, that just doesn't make sense to me whatsoever. When I saw this one, I thought it was Calais Campbell for a moment. There's another Campbell on the Dolphins. Elijah Campbell, safety re-signing on a one-year deal to replace Javon Holland. So not a big coincidence that those two deals happen around the same time. So more signings, trades, all that good stuff is going to be coming out over the next couple of days, and we will be breaking it down on the Falcons Today show. But the news for today, Divine Deablo signing with the Falcons, joining Caden Ellis at that inside linebacker position, pushing Troy Anderson for that starting job. And it might be Diablo's starting job to begin with. Maybe there's some injury concerns still with Anderson. Remember, he's had 2 back-to-back seasons with pretty severe injuries where he missed a significant amount of time. So unfortunately for the former second-round pick, it may not be his starting job anymore. But like I said, subscribe to the channel. That way, when news breaks, you are one of the first to know because you got the notifications on as well, and you get a video as soon as the Falcons make a signing, make a trade, make a release, whatever it may be.